So we're here to celebrate Mr. Lars Seier Christensen, a businessman, an entrepreneur, and an investor who has done remarkably well in the fintech space, in the blockchain space.
Blockchain is a really neat shortcut to many new ways of doing business, to many new ways of getting transparency and accountability into an economy. And I think with great success that could be deployed from the ground up in many African countries, and I'm glad to see that there is an interest in this new technology. Now that happens to be the internet, and when we look back today, that can be a little bit difficult to even imagine that people looked at the internet like that 25, 27 years ago, but that was the case. And that's pretty much how many people look at blockchain today. I think that blockchain is potentially the next internet. And what do I mean by that? Well, what was it the internet did? It took a lot of existing models and made them much more efficient, right? Like I just described one, but that goes for everything: selling shoes, selling newspapers, selling information. All of that was just so much more efficient online. This space has tended to be dominated by focus on the crypto aspect of blockchain, right? Now the crypto and the coins and the tokens are not really the important thing about blockchain. The important thing about blockchain is blockchain. And the only reason that you need some tokens to encourage certain things happening on the blockchain is because you need a means of payment that's very efficient, can pay micropayments, can do it very quickly and very efficiently. And as a representative of the traditional system, I can tell you that normal foreign exchange cannot meet those requirements at this point. The regulation of the blockchain space and the crypto space will get stronger and stronger. And I would predict that with 100% certainty, not 98%, not 99%, 100% certainty, because the regulators, as we know them, have not spent 30 or 40 years trying to control the traditional financial system, making neat boxes that they need to fit into in order to let another part of let's say a new financial system completely do whatever it wants. It's not going to happen. No matter if you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I can just tell you it's not going to happen. So if you're involved in this space, you may as well prepare your projects for meeting regulation. I think that's a basic premise of Concordium, that we have tried to build a really great blockchain, so there's a lot of technical stuff. It works better than many blockchains. It can handle more transactions. It has a better balance between privacy and accountability than normal blockchains. But the bottom line is that it's built with an intention to be able to provide the building blocks for the regulation that will for sure come, and could be a little bit different in this country and a little bit different in that country, because that's the way it is also in the traditional financial sector. But I would say that the most fundamental building block in any regulation is, of course, ID, that you know who you're dealing with, that you know that I'm Lars and I'm not somebody else, and that I know who I'm dealing with are the persons that they give out to be. Because if you don't have that fundamental building block, what's the meaning of KYC and AML, etc., if at the end of the day you don't know who's doing it? This is an intelligent form of ID, which I actually think also could be a very strong use case in many places in Africa, where establishing an ID, proving an ID, can be quite hard in some areas. So I think it's a very useful function, and it is something that should make regulators and lawmakers feel comfortable that there's a real wish to comply. So having a lot of young people and a young, youthful population is a big asset. And I think that's also part of the general for smarter investors, that they believe in the concept is this excess of younger generations compared to these very, very old societies we have in Europe. Let's not even begin to talk about Japan, where half of the population is over 80 or something, right? But I, for one, am very, very optimistic on the future of Africa and Nigeria. And I think you should be too, because this is many opportunities you have here that actually we don't have in Europe. So feel encouraged, hopefully, by that. Check into blockchain and see if that's something you should deploy or not. Keep yourself informed. We're very happy to help with educational input if anybody needs that. And I myself will also look to deploy a little bit of money in this area in Nigeria, because I do believe in it as a long-term play. I would prefer to do that through funds or something, so I don't have to sit and look at every single company, because that's very hard, even if it's in my hometown. But the risk willingness to take a chance on the area and the development and the thriving tech culture that seems to be here, I certainly have, and many other people have.
Interestingly, this is something I have been spending a lot of time learning about blockchain technology, and Lars touched on a lot of that, right? Actually, its utility, in other facets, right? Most people think, blockchain just for NFTs, crypto, and all of that. Beyond just being a ledger, it explains a lot of other use cases, even in real estate, and that resonated very strongly with me because I've been researching very deeply about it. And fun thing is it plays chess too, so it was a common ground for us to connect. Yeah.
Every time we come to events like this, the next thing should be, how do I implement this? How do I make these things happen? What can I do in my own little way? I'm not asking for, you to make 100% change, but if it's 1%, if it's 2%, small incremental changes to get us to that final goal. Yeah.
This is the future. This is the new era. Everything is being digitalized, and blockchain is the future.
It makes sense that Concordium is trying to play by the rules while giving people access to privacy that they want. But then again, for us to live in a sane world, like I said, we need to be able to fight bad actors, or check, maybe not even fight, check bad actors if and when they exist.
Concordium is really like innovative blockchain that I think projects can build on and yet still do great things.
Players in the space need to realize that we can't always be at the extremes. Usually the answer to questions on the lips of everyone will be somewhere in the middle.
So the important thing to remember is that Concordium is a layer 1 blockchain, like an Ethereum, but with other functionality. So we're not particularly directed at one industry or the other. We are agnostic. It is a piece of infrastructure that most people that should have the need for a scalable, secure, well-built blockchain, and particularly if they want the ID layer, should be usable for really any use case, I would say. That being said, I would say we have seen most of the interest so far being from the automotive industry, from the carbon credit type industry, from various provenance things. Does this thing really come from where it claims to come from AI related things where they need to keep the data structured and very, very secure. But then we also do fun things like NFT art places and gamifications, etc. So it really is agnostic to the use case.